Please subscribe.
A past due update gives the 2019 Toyota RAV4 scaled-down SUV looks, however stripped back its precise styling signals, and it remains an asphalt-beating hybrid progressively skilled at subduing the target parking garage then moving to base camp. With the 2019 RAV4, Toyota has a determinedly aggressive hybrid SUV, yet one that doesn't exceed its rivals in some key zones, for example, inside space. For that, we rate the 2019 RAV4 at 6.2 out of 10. It hasn't been crash-tried, however that figure could rise on the off chance that it experts government and free assessments. The 2019 RAV4 comes in two essential pretenses: a 2.5-liter inline-4 power slump adventure, XLE, and limited trims, and can be fitted with either front or all-wheel drive. The RAV4 Hybrid channels its Prius kin with gas-electric power, yet tosses in an electric engine and a nickel-metal hydride battery to inspire the back wheels for standard all-wheel drive. The Bass Motors 203 drive gives great around-town control coordinated by more underhood snarl than in certain adversaries. While costlier than the base RAV4, the half-breed utilizes its powertrain for better speeding up and roadway passing. The 8-speed programmed transmission in the base RAV4 deals with the apparatuses rapidly yet needs paddle shifters for diving grades. RAV4 hybrids utilize an electronic ceaselessly factor transmission, CVT, that is inclined to flooding. With running ground freedom of up to 8.6 inches, the RAV4 has some rough terrain slashes to coordinate its stout, 4Runner-light looks. All-wheel drive models have a trail mode for their footing control framework, while the adventure trim dimension has extra, territory-explicit modes. The RAV4 does not have a 2-speed exchange case with a low range like customary SUVs, regardless of whether it now sort of appears as though one. Moreover, the all-wheel drive framework required on adventure and discretionary on non-half-and-half limited RAV4S is an advanced setup that highlights brake put together to work vectoring for better with respect to street dealing with an improved Earth Street determination. The more straightforward framework on RAV4 and XLE models is appropriate for a lousy climate, however not as situated toward lively driving. A drawback to the to-work vectoring all-wheel drive framework is its toll on efficiency. RAV4S with a more straightforward all-wheel drive setup are appraised at 29 miles per gallon joint, while adventure and limited trims with all-wheel drive are evaluated at 27 miles per gallon. Crossbreeds are evaluated by Toyota at up to 40 miles per gallon. 2019 Toyota RAV4 solace and highlights. The RAV4's saucy looks manage some astounding trade-offs inside. Its roofline is low, and keeping in mind that doesn't frustrate forward or side vision, it makes moving into the front and back seats a test for taller travelers. The front seats are agreeable and a power driver's seat is broadly accessible. The traveler's seat isn't modified for stature in any trim, and not oversight in a vehicle that can cost around $40,000 with each choice. The traveler's seat sits high, which cuts into headroom extensively with either the traditional power moonroof or the a lot bigger all-encompassing moonroof. Back seat riders will discover a seat that sits low to the ground to take into account more headroom and entryways that don't open as wide as in certain opponents. The RAV4's inside space shortfall in respect to its rivals indicates doesn't persist to its load region. At around 37 cubic feet with the back seats upstanding, it has a lot of room for rigging and a power liftgate is incorporated on most trim dimensions. The RAV4's bustling dashboard has pleasant materials on most trims and either 7.0 or 8.0-inch touchscreens for infotainment with Apple CarPlay similarity. Dynamic well-being tech, for example, programmed crisis braking, versatile journey control, and dynamic path control is standard on each RAV4, and most trims offer vulnerable side screens and back cross-traffic alarms. In the event that style is at the highest point of your need list for another hybrid SUV, the 2019 Toyota RAV4 gets the smaller than expected wilderness romper look right. We rate it at 8 out of 10. giving it 2 points better than expected for its stout outside and another for a strong, very much considered inside structure. The RAV4 channels its Tacoma and 4Runner truck and SUV older siblings with 2 levels of trapezoidal grilles for a deception of durability. From the side, its rooftop sits low, in spite of the fact that a moderately unassuming belt line doesn't give it the weapon-cut window look of a show vehicle. The thick unpainted bumper flares on most RAV4's flagrant off-roady look that functions admirably. Cumbersome rearmost rooftop columns include hull and, lamentably, are perilous to over-the-bare rearward vision. At the tail, Toyota, at long last, has a hybrid SUV with the spotless, a la mode look. The high-mounted taillights are associated by a board painted in a differentiating shade on some trim dimensions. RAV4 Adventure trims have a phony slip plate in advance and can be requested with the differentiating white rooftop that looks incredible to our eyes. Crossbreed RAV4s have unpretentiously unique front-end styling and the half-and-half restrictive XSE trim swaps and glossy dark trim instead of unpainted plastic on numerous surfaces. As a matter of fact, base RAV4s have a down-market look with their steel wheels secured by hubcaps. Different RAV4s do the look equity with the alluring 17 and 19-inch amalgam wheels. Inside, the RAV4 proceeds with its rakish look. Its dash has a wide vibe punctuated by a tablet-like touchscreen for infotainment that floats over the atmosphere vents. A wide pocket for littler things, for example, cell phones, pens, or gum packs toward the traveler's side of the dashboard includes some visual intrigue and diminishes what might some way or another be a wide territory of plastic. The RAV4's middle rear shirt is cumbersome and sits higher for a more vehicle-like feel than some hybrid SUVs. Toyota completed a pleasant activity separating trim dimensions with special upholstery designs coordinated to sewing and plastic trim inside. For example, the RAV4 Adventure's orange trim echoes what open-air aficionados may discover on the most recent coats at trade, while the glossy dark in the RAV4 Hybrid XSE has a progressively urbane feel. Both motor decisions in the 2019 Toyota RAV4 outfit great increasing speed to the detriment of refinement. We wish that Toyota had run somewhat further with sound protection to control underhood thunder and street commotion. For that, we grant the RAV4 5 out of 10 paying little heed to what's in the engine. Toyota figures about a fourth of RAV4s will have half-breed control, so most on-seller parcels utilize a 2.5-liter inline-4 motor appraised at a sound 203 horsepower and 184 pound-feet of torque. Front-wheel drive is standard and all-wheel drive adaptations have one of 2 frameworks to send capacity to each corner. Despite where control goes, it's sent to the wheels through a 8-speed program transmission. The Bass motor has a lot of hurry from a stop and functions admirably with the program transmission. Passing force on the interstate is useful for a minimized hybrid SUV, giving the RAV4 a more responsive feel at speed than in certain contenders. Shockingly, the RAV4's greatest fault is its absence of refinement. The motor makes its essence known in the lodge, particularly under hard speeding up. Many Sunbelt RAV4s will have front-wheel drive. For those in frigid atmospheres or who will wander down a soil street, Toyota offers 2 all-wheel drive frameworks on the standard RAV4. LA and XLE trims have a regular framework that subtly does its best to send control from side to side and front to race. RAV4 Adventure and Limited trims swap in a trap setup with brake-based torque vectoring that all the more quickly sends capacity to the wheels with the most footing. While the framework marks efficiency marginally, to the tune of 2 miles per gallon joint, it's amazing on a dangerous street. The further developed all-wheel drive framework likewise enables the RAV4 to feel progressively certain on a breathtaking street. Indeed, even the front-wheel drive RAV4 has well-weighted controlling and a spry feel, in any case. The RAV4's solid structure and gentler suspension tuning help it ingest knocks well, in spite of the fact that it trails the Subaru Forester and Honda CR-V in the manner it responds to brutal effects. Those hybrid SUVs accept more honed hurls that steam the RAV4 in our underlying testing. RAV4 Adventure trims have 2 extra footing control modes for rough terrain use, yet aren't altogether more proficient when the street disintegrates away than the remainder of the lineup. 2019 Toyota RAV4 Hybrid execution. RAV4 hybrids have more power, 219 horsepower, on account of an electric engine combined to a nickel-metal hydride battery pack pressed under the back seat. Under light speeding up, the RAV4 Hybrid can climb to around 40 miles per hour on electric power alone before the gas motor kicks on with a delicate thunder to assist. The RAV4 Hybrid's electronic CVT functions admirably to keep motor revs low, albeit passing increasing speed in sights and in large snarl like in the non-crossover model. All hybrids are all-wheel drive on account of a different electric engine that buses control between the back wheels. In a short drive on a rough terrain course, we found that the RAV4 Hybrid abandoned up a free sand slope effortlessly, however battled when one wheel was off the ground. Its everything-wheel drive framework isn't as successful at exchanging power between the wheels as the setup in the RAV4 Adventure and Limited trims. Inlet and limited appearance, the RAV4 Hybrid's ride in taking care of match that of the standard model. The RAV4 Hybrid XSE has a marginally stiffer suspension that didn't appear to be awkwardly rigid amid our underlying sneak peek drives. The 2019 Toyota RAV4 puts structure above capacity. For some drivers, that will be okay, however for taller people, a portion of its rivals might be better decisions. We rate the RAV4 at 6 out of 10, granting it a point better than expected for its open-load territory. What harms the RAV4 inside is the thing that makes it look so great, all things considered, its low roofline. Toyota brought down the RAV4's roofline around an inch contrasted with a year ago's model, and it makes passage in EXA.